You've got a new guitar and you're just learning your first couple of chords. Maybe you've got a G down, E minor, maybe a D, whatever couple of chords you learned. You want to get past just the basic strumming down with a pick, or if you're using your fingers, using your thumb, whatever it might be. And you want to make some music and learn some strumming patterns so you can do something musical. Well, here today, I'm going to give you your first few basic strumming patterns that'll really get you on your way to making music. And welcome to Music with Marky. Okay, so most music is made up of just a few very basic strumming patterns. There's not a lot of complexity to it until you get into some more advanced forms of music, flamenco and things like that. What I'm going to give you today as a beginner can really help you put together the building blocks for most of all the songs you're going to learn. And everything we're going to be doing is going to be with some kind of metronome, something, a click. You can find one on Google online. If you type in the word metronome or metronome online, you can get one on the phone. I'm going to pull up an app here and I'll give you a link to it. And you play along with it at slower speeds and build up to faster speeds as you go so that you can learn to get these things at a speed that's useful to you and the music you want to play. And I also have a lesson that I'll link up here on how to fix when you're not switching chords fast enough. So if you're doing this thing where you're kind of like moving your fingers and you stop strumming and you play and you're not getting from chord to chord, I've got a fix for that, and that's the lesson that I linked. So all that said, let's talk about what your basic strumming patterns are going to be along with the metronome. So the first thing that's going to happen now is that you're going to load up your metronome, or you're going to do it on Google online like I'll show you here. And we're going to set it to a tempo of 90. And we're going to hit that click, and you're going to get to the point where you play with a click so much that you hear it in your sleep. But that's actually kind of a good thing. You want to get very good at internalizing tempo. It will make you a much better player. So when you're developing your skills early on like this, working with a metronome and learning to play faster and faster to a click is really crucial. So we're setting the click here to a tempo of 90. And we're starting with the basic strumming pattern we're going to work with the G for now, assuming that you've learned that as one of your chords. And so now I just take a basic open G chord, count in 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. A downstroke on each click. Very simple. Now I want to do the same thing with a nice smooth upstroke as well, and just an upstroke to each click. So I hit it again, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And so I've got the basic clicking, strumming on each click on the quarter note at a tempo of 90. Now, the next thing to do is to mix down and up. Now you can do that just on one of each two, right? So it's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and so on. But what you've been doing this whole time by playing just down or up on each click is actually playing twice as fast as you think. Because if I go down and bring my hand all the way back up here to go down again on the next click, well, I could have strummed on the way up, which would have been in between each click. So I had something like this. Sounds kind of fast, right? But you've been doing it if you're playing the downstrokes and the upstrokes in tempo. So let's take this and we'll roll it back to a slower tempo. We'll go to 75. So change your own metronome to a 75 for practice. And we're going to do a down, which is your next pattern, by the way. This is going to be down, down, up, down. It's almost like a gallopy kind of thing, and you're going to get a lot of mileage out of this. So we'll call this pattern number 2. Down, down, up, down. So at the slower tempo, down, down, up, down. Down, down, up, down. This pattern is eminently useful if you do it when switching chords. So this down, down, up, down thing, going back to that, is the kind of thing that happens when you're switching between chords a lot. You'll see it very commonly in music rather than just staying straight on the strumming to do something to embellish as you make the switch from one chord to another. It also works well if you're kind of having dead notes. You can make that make up for some of what's going on with your left hand by just having the percussive strums that happen in between, and it works pretty well. You'll see as you go. So that's thing number 2 there, and we'll do it one more time together at this tempo of 75. So you want to practice that and build up the speed a little bit every day. Go from 75 to 78 to 80 to 82, whatever it is that you can do as you're building up your speed. Okay, so that's your first two patterns, just the basic down, up, down, and the down, down, up, down, galloping type of thing. So the last thing I want to work with you on is the first one where you have to be a little bit more careful with your right hand, and that's when you don't play the entire chord. So I might do something where I just play the low note and then strum. And that's what we're going to do right now, which is a note and then a 1, 2, 3 like we did with the gallop. So it's down on the string, then a strum down, a strum up, and then just down on the string again. This starts to get into the range of where a lot of music happens, where you're not just always strumming the entire chord, you're using pieces of the chord mixed with strumming patterns, and this very basic 101 version of it is the first thing you want to learn. So again, it's down on the low string, then strum down on all the strings, up on all the strings, and then down again. And I'll do it with a metronome. So down on the string, remember that, and then it's the down and up. We'll put that together. That's the first part of it. And now we're going to come back down on the string again, add that to it. So it'll be the string, the up, down, and then down on the string. 3, 4. Real simply. And now we'll just add one more strum to it. So it'll be this. So it's the note, strum down, strum up, the note, strum down, and again with the metronome. 2, 3, 4. So that's your third pattern there, and will become infinitely useful to you as you learn to switch. Starts to sound much more musical, and you'll find more context for it. Now, the last thing I want to mention to you is that everything we've done here, you also want to practice not just on all 6 strings, because you have some chords that don't use them. Say we take this A major here. You have to learn to strum without hitting that low string, because the A is those 5 notes. So if you're doing down, up, and you include the low string, it's a different chord. It has an extra note in there. And it's even worse if you're looking at, say, a D chord, where you have just 4, these 4. If you start hitting all the strings, it doesn't even sound pleasant at all. So you have to learn to do the patterns, everything we did here, on just 4 strings. That takes a little bit of precision with your right hand. It's going to be more advanced. You'll have to start with slower metronome speeds and work your way up from there. So there you have 3 basic strumming patterns, or really 2 basic and 1 a little bit advanced. I'm pushing you here to work with that thing where you bounce off of a string. But I want to get that concept in your head early on, because that's going to make music for you. And again, work with the metronome as much as you can and work the speeds up a little bit at a time. I even keep a notebook when I'm working on things. So if I worked at 75 today or 2 hours ago, I can try to get to 78 or some tempo 2 or 3 past where I was at, and do it a couple times a day and work your way up through the tempos. And this is going to be a pattern that you follow throughout your development as a guitar player. If you get into playing lead playing and doing shreddery kind of stuff, it's going to become a very important part of what you do. And even if you just are learning songs and how to strum, when you want to learn a new song, learn it at a slower tempo if you're having trouble with it. Play it, if the song's at 100, learn it at 80, then learn it at 85, then at 90, and work your way up to the tempo you need to be at. And that's how you're going to get the songs clean and play the stuff the way you want to that sounds authentic. So if you have any questions or comments, anything you need me to cover further that's going to help you out, please leave that in the area below for that. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can, as I always do. And until next time, guys, keep making great music. Hey friends, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. It makes the whole world better.